Travis, man, good all. So we got some guys working on cars outside. I keep thinking it's Sunday, but as I look at my clocks, it's only Saturday. So, okay. Jasmine time. James and Jasmine. I listened to their video, and so let's get caught up. Jasmine added a couple more comments 2 hours ago, so she's putting me behind on gifts of a true Mormon prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. She says, "Hello, Travis. I know this has nothing to do with this video," which, by the way, I really like your intro. And I have associative memory. I don't memorize anything. I didn't memorize what I said. I just spoke whatever came to mind and forget it immediately afterward. Because I'm not going to memorize it. So I'd have to watch it myself to see what the intro was on that one. But James and I, after watching your DNC series, decided to do some DNC research ourselves. I plan to be the authority on the DNC. And for those of you who are new or know nothing of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Joseph Smith, it's not the female thing. It's an acronym for Doctrine and Covenants. Just to clarify what Jasmine is going to be an authority on. I download the original 1833 Book of Commandments and the original 1835 Doctrine and Covenants and the current Doctrine and Covenants, which I only saw the Book of Commandments one on the cloud link you sent me. And that's why I put in the email for the 1835. And so if you had obtained that before the previous email, there are going to be some crossovers now. Because we're doing the one from 2 days ago, not the 2 hours ago one. So if I can get through this one and get to your 2 hours ago, great. But we'll see. There are some differences in things between the three. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Which we are wondering why. The Book of Commandments 4:2, at the end where it says, "For I will grant him no other gift," whereas Doctrine and Covenants 5:1b at the end says, "For I will grant you no other gift until it is finished." In the 1835 DNC, I can't find that anywhere. And how reliable is David Whitmer, even though he was a Danite? Did I spell that right? Yes, it's got to be capitalized though. But David Whitmer was not a Danite. He was threatened by the Danites to join them or get the hell out of Dodge, or they will murder him and his family. This is what the Danites were doing in the coup of Joseph Smith's church. And they claimed it was under Joseph's orders. So David Whitmer went to Oliver Cowdery and did the defense pamphlet that you obtained. And so that pamphlet needs to be taken under that background. And so the sections need to be, they're in different orders, and that's one of the many projects that I want to get to, is to do a Book of Commandments, Doctrine and Covenants 1835, and the Doctrine and Covenants for the Community of Christ, and then the Bergamite version. Because there are some forgeries in the Brighamite version, plus the additions by John Taylor, Brigham Young, and Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. after he had died, in section 138. And so there's obviously going to be a lot of differences with the current Brighamite version from the 1835 version. And pay attention to the sequencing, because the preface, for example, section number 1, was a part of the appendix originally, and it was then moved to section 1, or I think that was the one. My associative memory is not good as a reference material. Thus, I have to have a reference material so that my associative memory can go, oh, that has to do with that, and then I go to the reference book and go, boom, there it is. And so, for example, I'm going to the reference source, Doctrine and Covenants. If I would quit talking. The Wikipedia page on Doctrine and Covenants. This will assist you in getting the right sequences in order. And so when you go down to selections included in the LDS edition, it does the current one first, the 138 sections and 2 official declarations in the Brighamite branches, and I should clarify Brighamite. But, you know, Mormons of the Brighamite branch are the ones who control Wikipedia and put the misinformation in here, because they claim they're the one true succession, whereas so do the others. But because this church is trillions of dollars rich and more numerous by far, with 3 million rather than maybe 10, 100,000, if that is much. So, big difference. Travis, no, the church says they have 16, 17 million members. Nope. In 2011, the church experienced a mass exodus with the internet and social media, as Mormons were now able to look online, as they apparently didn't want to study their scriptures previously to leave the church. Now they're leaving the church because of other people who read the scriptures. And they just stopped being active, stopped participating. They didn't hand in their official paperwork saying that we quit, we're out. And now the church is threatening people who want to leave by saying that they are required to notify their bishop in handwriting a document declaring that they want out, and then they have to be threatened by their bishop, who will extort them and remind them of the temple covenants and the extortion payment of tithing to stay. And so, dear God, they don't want you to leave. You can leave the church, but they won't leave you alone. Right, Mormons? And so then it goes into the 1844 edition and the 1876 edition. So the 1844 edition was after Joseph Smith had died. Brigham Young has succeeded in murdering Joseph, and because of his militant, evil-disposed and designing Danites, he takes over the church with brute force. And whereas the others who formed their own religion had to leave the area to do so. So, for example, James Strang, he had to take off to Michigan, one of the little islands out there, to start his organization there. And then Sidney Rigdon obviously could not stay either because of the Danite violent threats. And so he was able to obtain possession of the properties there in Nauvoo, especially, and thus changed the design of the Nauvoo temple on the outside, putting the inverted pentagram of Lucifer of the Illuminati on it, and then purposely waiting until the anniversary of the Illuminati on May 1st to dedicate it, even though he was performing polygamous marriages, which they then accused Joseph of having done in 1843. No, it was in January of 1846, in the Nauvoo temple, undedicated. This was the fraud and scams. And so it lists the different sections that were inserted with their sections that are known in the current version. And so the 1844 version, it obviously wasn't section 103, 105, 112, 119, 124, 127, 128, and 135. Because in between those weren't put in until the 1876 version, which you see that list. Section 2, 13, 77, 85, 87, 108 to 111, 113 to 118, 120 to 123, 125, 126, 129 to 132. And you know the 1835 had the section 101, and so now section 101 is different from section 132 that is now in the current one. Monogamy to polygamy, and section 136. And so that's the big difference. And they even put it in here. Yeah. In 1876, section 101 from the 1835 edition and subsequent printings was removed. Section 101 was a statement on marriage, as adopted by an 1835 conference of the church. And contained the following text. Man should have one wife, and one woman, but one husband, except in the case of death, wherein either is at liberty to marry again. And there's more to that, as Jasmine knows. And so Mormons refuse to acknowledge this as the doctrine of the church. They say that we no longer practice polygamy, but they know section 132 is still in there. They know, because they're so faithful and obedient, that President Russell Marion Nelson in 2019 changed the law of chastity for the law of polygamy, and are all obedient now and are secretly practicing polygamy, even though they don't worry about it here in Utah. It's just outside of Utah where they're having to keep it a secret from the government. Because in Utah, they had polygamy decriminalized. And then Nelson came out and boom, we're practicing polygamy. And here we go, child bride polygamy marriage. And all Mormons are faithful and obedient and have multiple wives now. There's not a single faithful practicing Mormon who is disobedient. They all have polygamous wives now. Because they would not be disobedient and disobey the living prophet of Jesus Christ who gave the order for the change. They're all obedient and are all practicing polygamy. Those missionaries who came knocking on your door, yeah, when they finish their missions, they'll go back to Utah and they will resume polygamous marriages. Singles wards are gutted. There are no more because all the women are getting married off. It's a joyous time in the church. Polygamy has made life happier for Mormons, and it is wonderful, wonderful to me. James and Jasmine might not know that hymn yet. I stand all amazed. if you're not a Mormon, or you're brand new and you are a Mormon and you're going, we don't practice polygamy, Travis. It's not my fault you're disobedient. The music is by Charles H. Gabriel. The text is by Charles H. Gabriel. I don't know who Charles H. Gabriel is. Let's see if there's a link to who he is. If it's even a Mormon thing. And this doesn't help me. What are you doing? Who did this website? Charles H. Gabriel. Charles Hutchinson Gabriel was an American composer and lyricist of gospel tunes. So it doesn't appear that he's Mormon. First Presbyterian Church of Wilton. There is one folklore story. Oh, okay. Saw Gabriel walking in the town. He asked Gabriel if he knew a good song to go along with the sermon. And he's apparently Mozart. So the Mormon church stole his song. And so I stand all amazed at the love Jesus offers me, confused at the grace that so fully he proffers me. I tremble to know that for me he was crucified, that for me a sinner he suffered, he bled, he died, and died. I marvel to, let's see, yeah, that is two, okay. There's the chorus line. Oh, it is wonderful that he should care for me enough to die for me. Oh, it is wonderful, wonderful to me. I marvel that he would descend from his throne divine to rescue a soul so rebellious and proud as mine, that he should extend his great love unto such as I, sufficient to own, to redeem, and to justify. I think of his hands, pierced and bleeding, to pay the debt that Mormons have to pay back through tithing. Such mercy, such love and devotion can I forget. No, no, I will praise and adore at the mercy seat until at the glorified throne I kneel at his feet. And he died before the throne of the latter days was created. So there you have it. This is typically a sacrament song. But if the bishop wants it sung in the opening or the closing or an intermediate song, he so designates. But the prophets have come down and kind of forced the bishop to take away their agency from much of their diversionary tract that they used to be allowed to do according to the Doctrine and Covenants. And so this is kind of helpful. In the modern version, they show the chronological dating of when each of the current sections were given, or you can just go through each of the subtitle or the chapter headings to see what the date is. You just got to remember that section 10 is the wrong date. It's 1829, not 1828. So let's see if I can, yeah, chronological order of contents. And so it has section 1, 1823 of September, Manchester, New York. And I wouldn't hold the place too strictly, because there are some issues when you learn church history. And so if you were to do this, make a chronological order of the Book of Commandments and then the 1835 edition of the Doctrine and Covenants, then you can take the three chronologies and compare them with each other. so that you can see where the one is that you couldn't find. Until somebody like me gets around to working on that project. If you have a computer and you have a Word program and you have the documents already, if you get them into a Word program and do copy and pasting, you can do this project for me and email it to me when you finish. That would be awesome if you want to do anything to help me. Paul's already gotten an assignment. I hope he got it and is not suffering from any of the storms that came blowing by last week, or this past week. I guess it was last weekend, wasn't it? So I hope he's doing okay. And so I'll give him time to work on that project before I give him something else to work on for me. So I do appreciate his help on with what he's doing for me. That's awesome. And so yes, there's tons of stuff that I need help with, not just online, as I just gave you another example of what I could use help with, but also here. I know nobody dares come to my cave, but I do have the 2 extra computers. But I hope I'm getting all of the documents that I need, so that in the millennium at Zion, if we ever get there, but the problem is it's not even built yet. So once we get there, I still have to wait until it gets built, because I got to help with the building now. And everything that goes along with building a brand new civilization from scratch. As apparently I'm the only one who knows how to do that correctly. Just La Brea, when I was watching La Brea, oh my God, you're still trying to figure out how to survive and obtain food, and you want to start a government with just about 25 people? Oh my God. So much frustration. So yeah, that's, I think, what would help you the best is to go each one of the sections and put them into a chronological table, and then you can then go and cross-reference which one goes to which to see the difference, and then you can see what was edited, changed in the different version. Okay, that's it for that. Mormon Jesus Christ, the Great Anti-Semite. That was recent. The law interview. Hello, Travis. We have a 33-foot RV, so no need for motels or couches. So you're coming to Utah? LOL. We have a theory and would like your opinion. We believe that the first part of section 132 says verse 1 to around the mid-30 verses. Say the verse, okay. At that point, after 31, or at 31, after 30, it gets a little less Joseph Smith and a lot more angry. Yeah, even in the beginning, it is not Joseph. I am giving you a commandment and a law, and you must obey the law I'm about to give you. That's not Joseph. It's just not him. Joseph is more of a mocker, a sarcastic person. He is not an authoritarian. There's a complete difference. He's more like me. I mean, I'm more like him because I've read a lot of Joseph Smith's works. And so I've emulated my character and personality after Joseph Smith. And you can see in the Mormons, who are the third great-grandchildren, plus or minus generations, from the Danites, who likewise didn't give a damn about Joseph Smith's personality and character. That's why they hate me so much, is because I have the personality and character of Joseph Smith. And just like they despise Joseph Smith and turned him Christian, they despise me. And I did that video, and sure enough, the Danite Mormons came out with threats and hate. Because every time I do a video that says that Mormons are stupid, Mormons are haters, Mormons are anti-Semitic, they always come out to attack, to prove that they're not. They fall into the trap every time. It's so sad that they are that past feeling that they can't see that that's the wrong way to prove your innocence. So, dear God. And so, yeah, Section 132 is not Joseph at all. It just isn't. It is so contrary. And even doctrinally, it's not sound. It still goes against the Book of Mormon. It goes against other actual Joseph Smith sermons. And it's just, there are just so many problems in there. I mean, to even say that you can commit any sin you want now that you're sealed in the temple, except for murder. The Book of Mormon makes it very clear. Wickedness never was happiness. Don't commit crime or sin. Abinadi chastises the priests of King Noah with King Noah and says you're not keeping the 10 Commandments. And here in the Section 132, screw the 10 Commandments, the higher laws, polygamy, and you can do anything you want now that you're sealed, except for murder. And then you read through the General Handbook of Instructions that Nelson released, and you see that very same thing. You know, incest, child, bride, rape. We discourage it. We're not going to excommunicate you or discipline you in any way. That is emulated in that manual for the leaders of the church. It's just so blatantly obvious. And so for Mormons to embrace all of this and turn their backs on Joseph and just pretend like Joseph was the one who gave all this is just, it's a dark side of Mormonism that is deeply scary. That they could be either this naive and stupid or that evil. Because there's no other explanation for this. You either are clueless of how to see the difference, or you embrace it because you want to practice it. And that these Mormons are just pure evil. Dear God. I found an interview with William Law, Danite. Especially as you see the laws get involved in 1844, as they're setting up the conditions to find fault with Joseph to lead to Carthage jail. The laws. The Daily Tribune, Salt Lake City, Sunday morning, July 31st, 1887. You didn't link me? Oh, there it is. MRM.org. Stay away from him, Jasmine. think. Did I get the right acronym? No, this is something different. Okay. An interview with William Law. Introduction. And then it's got other subsequent interviews after it. So, yeah, I have no idea what MRM stands for now. Do a copy. Oop. Here at the bottom, struggling with your Mormonism? Mormonism Crash Course, Mormonism Glossary, About Us, Events, Support MRM, Contact Us, Articles, more responses, LDS sources, Christian churches in Utah. Yeah, it's anti. I'm trying to trick you. Okay. And then, oops. I can delete that one. Bring up a new document and paste pecani sauce. Okay. I'll change it to 1887 interviews with William Law. It's more than one page. Come on. There you go. 20 pages. Save as. And gotta create a new file for Joseph Smith Papers. Alrighty. 1887 interviews. William Law. Thank you, Jasmine. Alrighty. About the 132 revelation, when it was read to him in its entirety, has said that there were added parts that weren't in what he heard originally. Well, yeah. It was newly created, but because he can't get revelation, Brigham Young had to use other source documents to make it. And I do see that inconsistency of thought in section 132 as well, as you're suggesting that it's because Brigham Young is more authoritarian at the beginning, which is what I said, and then all of a sudden gets angry, and then he gets violent, as he's threatening to murder women if they don't give in. And so, yeah, there is... that's how he designed this. And so, yes, the newspaper, the Nauvoo Expositor, I think, or was it the Nancy one, or whatever. That's why that is in here, is because the Danites, when that was published, which they caused the conditions to frame Joseph, which then led to the Nauvoo Expositor publishing that. And so the Danites then go, great, we'll use that to, again, blame Joseph so that we can practice it. Because Joseph is now a true prophet. But there's a talk by Brigham Young. Let me find that. That is kind of essential to everybody's eternal salvation. Brigham Young confesses Joseph Smith did not establish polygamy. And Brigham Young takes all the credit for it. And does not give Heber any credit. Heber is the one that was practicing polygamy before joining the church. And Heber is the #1 of Brigham Young the whole time. So that's why the Danites were practicing polygamy, because it was Heber. Heber was doing the sealing ceremonies, because Heber himself. And then Heber in 1843 claims that he got another one, and that it was Joseph who ordained them, or sealed them. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Brigham Young Journal of Discourses. Let's see if I can find it. Yep. Right off the bat. journalofdiscourses.com/Brigham Young. Brigham _Young. And you got to go down, and it's not in chronological order. And so it's 1874, but where 1874 would be, you got to keep on going. And The Secret of Happiness. There it is. June 21st, 1874. And then you click on it. And The Secret of Happiness, Self-Examination. Joseph Smith, a man of obedience to God who was disobedient. That was Brigham's idea. Baptism for the Dead, Temporal and Spiritual One. A Dream, Order of Enoch, The Order of God, A Good Word for the Women. Shut up. Lie down. And so it's tricky to find, because you gotta, he doesn't come right out and say it, but you understand it in the context of what he's talking about. See, here he's talking about going back to Independence, Missouri. Nope. It's Utah, right, Nelson? Oh, here it is. England. We were driven from Missouri after Joseph went up there, and we came to Nauvoo, and the 12 went to England with forged certificates. The Joseph Smith Papers has Brigham Young's certification to be a missionary, to preach in England, and it's the wrong name of the church, and it's a different signature of Joseph Smith. I'm still amazed at how stupid the prophets believe the Mormons are, from what they have dumbed you down to be. And it's proven true. I mean, dear God. They are just mocking and laughing at you Mormons, and you get mad at me. And dear God. While we were in England, I think, the Lord manifested to me by visions and His Spirit things that I did not then understand. Really? You didn't understand having sex with other women? Was that too complicated for you to understand? I don't think so. You were married to the second woman after your first wife died, soon after joining the church. I never opened my mouth to any person concerning them until I returned to Nauvoo. What does Joseph Smith say about this kind of a person? Let me go over it with you yet again, Mormons. We'll start with section 28 and move on to section 43. See, Hiram Page claimed to have a seer stone and was looking at it and was getting revelations on how to build Zion. Joseph Smith therefore gave section 28 in our current edition. Verse 2. But behold, verily, verily, I say unto thee, no one. Is that complicated, Mormons? Do you not understand who no one is? Now stay away from the Clint Eastwood movie, I can't remember it, Deadpool, where the mass murderer is no one. I'll let you guys watch the movie to find out what I mean by that, because I don't want it, it's a spoiler alert. Otherwise, shall be appointed to receive. Welcome to the jungle. I think that's our theme song in the description below. Jim Carrey sings it for us, sort of. Welcome to the jungle. Deadpool. And so you see, kids, before Deadpool, the Marvel's character, there was Clint Eastwood. As Dirty Harry. No one shall be appointed to receive commandments and revelations in this church excepting Joseph Smith Jr. So, Brigham Young? No one. And yet, there he is in 1874, June 21st, 6 days before the anniversary of him murdering Joseph in Carthage jail. And he's saying, I got a vision. Revelation. No one. For he receiveth them even as Moses, the Jewish Christ. Section 43. Hearken, O ye elders of my church. Brigham Young was an elder of the church as a missionary in the Quorum of the 12 Missionaries. In the 70, they were all called elders. That's why still to this day, all the prophets are also called elders, unless they're in the presidency, and then they're given president titles. Give ear to the words which I shall speak unto you. For behold, verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye have received a commandment for a law unto my church, through him whom I have appointed unto you to receive commandments and revelations from my hand. Who? Brigham? Joseph. And this ye shall know assuredly, that there is none other, no one appointed unto you to receive commandments and revelations until he be taken if he abide in me. No one. And then you say, well, when Joseph died, the president of the Quorum of the 12 Missionaries is the new president automatically. Oh my God. There's the South Park episode of Joseph Smith. And in the background of certain comments being made by the characters, you hear this, Dum 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 dum. There's a woman, Mormon girl, who had been on a mission, and so she does her channel on YouTube about how to teach teen girls in preparation for their mission. And she does a video, which became her #1 video, because others watched it, where she does a review of that South Park episode. And it goes right over her head. She also has other thumbnail pictures where she's got inverted pentagrams all over the background. Oh, dear God. But verily, verily, I say unto you, that none else, no one, shall be appointed unto this gift. What gift? Right, prophet, seer, revelator, translator. Except it be through him. And Joseph Smith already designated his successor, and everybody else was wrong. Even Brigham Young was wrong. Section 103, verse 16. Joseph knew it would not be succeeded properly as he gave it to them in section 107, verse 22. And so, because nobody was going to be obedient, the church died. It ended with the death of Joseph. And as a result, that backup for the prophecy of the latter days then kicks in. And so Mormons need to be looking for a man who has the gifts of prophet, seer, revelator, translator, with all those keys from all those visions. Even section 27, verse 5, which is actually Nephi. Joseph Smith corrects it in the Joseph Smith history of 1838. It's supposed to be Nephi, not Moroni. But Willard Richards flipped it and justified changing the name of the church in the 1838 history because of that. Joseph Smith was correcting the Doctrine and Covenants. And so, if it be taken from him, he shall not have power except to appoint another in his stead. The latter-day Christ is his another appointed in his stead. But he wasn't wicked. It was the Danites who set him up and framed him and then used that against him when he was accused. And this shall be a law unto you, that ye receive not the teachings of Brigham Young, or any that shall come before you as revelations or commandments. And this I give unto you, Mormons, elders of the church, that you may not be deceived. For in the latter days there will come false prophets and false Christs, that if possible shall deceive the very elect Mormons. Ta-da! Prophecy fulfilled. That you may know they are not of me. You're supposed to be looking for your latter-day Christ, Mormons. And you don't even know who to look for because you're waiting for Jesus. Alright, so he continues. Let's see. About it at the time. But I had this for myself, and I kept it to myself. And when I returned home, and Joseph revealed these things to me. Pay attention. I then understood the reflections that were upon my mind while in England. But this was not until after I told him what I understood. I saw that he was after something by his conversation, leading my mind along, and others, to see how we could bear this. He's saying that Joseph was being cryptic in his communication, testing to see how it would be received. This was in 1841. Was it? The revelation was given in 1843. Was it? And it was because of this talk, because he gave that date, that section 132 was therefore dated to 1843. But the doctrine was revealed before this, and when I told Joseph that I understood, which was right in front of my house in the street, as he was shaking hands and leaving me, he turned around and looked me in the eyes, and says he, "Brother Brigham, are you speaking what you understand?" Are you in earnest? He will not come out and say it. Says I speak just as the Spirit manifests to me. Says he, God bless you, everyone. The Lord has opened your mind. And he turned and went off. Oh boy, I guess they didn't like what they heard. Oh my God. This guy is just pure evil. And so yes, this was 1874, June 21st. And because he gave that, the year before he died, had assembled together section 132, piecing it together from different documents that proved it was true from Joseph, and used that date that he gave here in 1874. Ta-da! And then it magically appeared, Creatio ex nihilo. Alrighty, so we don't need this. We'll put the link of Brigham Young's sermon in the description below, assuming I don't get cyber terrorized. Alright. I read it backwards from 66 to 1, and it seemed to change and actually get more or less about polygamy once you get out of the 50s and 40s. No, he's still talking about polygamy because he says at the beginning that this is what it's all about. So even though he talks about marriage, it's not monogamy. It's all about polygamy. We are updating the links. Thank you for those. James wants to know who you think is the best captain. Kirk, original Kirk, Picard, Janeway, Sisko. Well, what about Archer? What about the reboot Kirk? Why is it just these that I have to choose from? And then, well, they weren't of Enterprise, but Worf was a captain for a while. This is a situation where it's not about who's the best James Bond, because obviously it's Pierce Brosnan. But I have to give credit to the original movie Bond. See, I know my Bond. There was a TV Bond. prior to. And then Sean Connery also did an unauthorized Bond, which must be included along with the Bond girl and the Bond theme song, if you're going to be a true Bond guy. But yeah, the Roger Moore version, I wasn't happy with that because I was spoiled by Sean Connery. A more serious, mocking playboy type Bond. And so Roger Moore was purposely cast to change the mold of Bond into a more comedic version, and thus gave rise to the mockery movies that ensued because of that were now insulting and mocking the James Bond series, which is a shame that they would do that with Roger Moore, because the books of the actual author that gave rise to the Bond character was an actual spy to write all this stuff. But I do have to acknowledge that I wish George Lazenby would continue to be Bond, but he quit after the first one, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. See, I know all about Bond. And so, I'm already crying. When Daniel Craig comes along, I am upset. He is not Bond. But over the show, he changes to become Bond. And that final one, I cannot watch it anymore. I see the woman at the beginning of the movie, and I can't go on because I've seen it now. I know what happens. And so he gets my respect. And so it's different with Star Trek. Star Trek is not about a reoccurring Captain Kirk with different characters playing him. And so there is no way to compare the different captains of the Enterprise. Because they give tribute to Her Majesty's Secret Service in that final Bond, which already triggered the emotions that I had from Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was the one Bond that I cried in. And And so no, I can't say who's the best captain, because the authors purposely made them all legendary. And so, James apparently prefers Janeway. But notice how Star Trek purposely did more with Picard. This was because the majority of Star Trek fans prefer Picard. And so Picard got his own TV show on Disney, which, was great. I got it all on DVD. And unfortunately, Lower Decks, they decided not to do DVDs anymore. So I don't know how to get season 4 on DVD. I could try to get it on Blu-ray. I'm having some issues with my Blu-ray converters. It may be that I need to use this device to do it on, but oh man, he has a daughter. You know, there's so many women out there who hate James Bond and wanted to shut it down and cancel culture it. You just did not understand. You were not being taught proper sex ed, women. You were turned into weapons to destroy this nation. And now you're getting punished for what you did by the men who are authoritarians. Because that's the whole thing with truth, for example. You get MAGA truthers now. They call themselves truthers. Well, they're just mocking the deep state Dems who came out with the My Truth movement, which came from psychologists. See, this is what nobody seems to understand. Psychologists prey on the weak to brainwash them into just the most stupid things in the universe. And it's the liberals who are the weakest minded, who fall for these things. And so the bullies are the MAGA. And they mock and emulate the bullying tactics of the psychologists to purposely do a bullying cancel culture on the liberals who got brainwashed by the psychologists to be snowflakes and all those abusive terms. But anyway, something about her defeating the Borg. It's Chinese math to me. Are you sure it has nothing to do with her being the female? Because Archer defeated the Borg. I just saw the episode. He blew up their ship. You know, it took Captain Picard to blow up the Borg cube in the... But, yeah. Oh, dear God. So, yeah, we're over an hour now, so we're done. I'm just going to go cry myself to sleep now. Thanks a lot. So we got 2 more, which were from 2 hours ago. We're at after 4 o'clock. So this might be completely finished by 6. We might be able to do 1 more. We shall see.